Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Creatives. Today, I invite my friend Andrew Kohler. Andrew is a musicologist, composer, and most recently was appointed the editor of the Gershwin Initiative. Today, we're going to be making a healthy-ish chicken parmesan, as I'm calling it. It's a recipe that I make from time to time when I'm really in the mood for chicken parm, but I'm not really in the mood to feel the sluggish of really like that sluggish feeling that you get when you eat way too much food. But it's really tasty. I promise you. We're gonna eat it with some broccoli. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel. It really helps a lot when you subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you really want to see the episodes every single week. Lots of really exciting things coming up. And welcome, Andrew.
Sounds good.
So,
all right.
Okay.
So I'm fully defrosted in case you didn't hear the.
Yes, I did. So you're gonna want to get a knife and make sure it's, the sharpest knife that you have access to.
Oh, that's sort of bread knife, isn't it? All right, I think this should be the one. Okay, so let's see. Where's a good surface?
And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the knife. You can probably see it like this.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna cut it in half, and you're gonna flip it so that it kind of looks like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're just gonna cut it, slice it. In half is maybe not the best way of putting it, but you're gonna long ways, not down the middle. And you want to be able to open it up like a book.
Okay.
And the reason why you're doing that is just it'll make it so that it cooks more evenly in the middle. You're going to put them in a plastic bag.
All right.
Or under some sort of something like if you've got plastic wrap or something. And yeah, you're just gonna cover them. Yeah, like that. And then I would get something like if you have a wine bottle, or I'm gonna use a rolling pin, or just something heavy. And you're basically just gonna lightly pound them.
Lightly pound them. Oh, maybe I can. Maybe I'll just use my crushed tomatoes.
That works great.
Cool.
So what you're just gonna do is you're just gonna very lightly pound them, like so. You can see me doing it. It's very light. You're not beating it to death. What you're doing is you're helping tenderize it, but you want it to be as even as you can get it.
Okay. All right. Feels like it's making a difference. All right. Look.
Perfect.
Look. Okay, cool.
Perfect. Okay, so then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna season your chicken with some salt and pepper.
All right.
And I like my stuff pretty well seasoned, but like I know not everybody does.
Yeah.
Season it to your likeness. It's really, really, you can go as much or as little as you'd like.
All right. Fairly plain person in that regard. I think I am probably sufficiently seasoned.
That's probably fine. The idea here is just to season it to your likeness, not to season it to what is the wrong or right way of doing it.
Yes.
Which is what I actually really love about cooking is that it's all about seasoning to likeness. Okay, so then what you're gonna want to do next is have you already preheated your oven?
Yes, my oven is heated.
Okay, cool. So we don't need it quite yet, but so you're gonna want to turn your heat on your pan. Actually,
I'm sorry, my heat on my. You mean on the
stove?
On the stove. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and then you're gonna want to put about a tablespoon or two of olive oil in your pan. I'm gonna measure mine, but you don't have to measure it. It's really just the amount of oil that you want.
Okay.
I'm gonna do about a tablespoon and a half. And you're just gonna spread it around in the pan.
Right. Okie doke. I think that should
And
do
then we're
it.
just gonna let that heat up for about 20 seconds or so, just to let
All
the
right.
a little hot. Because we just turned the heat on, we want it to heat up just a little bit. We also want to make sure that the heat's not too hot.
Okay.
It's like not quite medium heat, just below.
Oh, okay. All right, I will turn that down quite a bit then. Right.
And then we're just gonna let that heat up. It's hot when if you hover your hand over it and you start to feel the heat.
Okay. That sounds good.
Because you actually don't really want to. One of the problems that people have when cooking chicken is they flip it too much. So we're gonna let these chicken breasts cook for just until they easily release from the pan. While that's going, Andrew, I have to ask, as a musicologist, can you talk a little bit about how your interest in social justice right now has impacted your work and maybe the field?
Oh, all right. So my interest in social justice goes back quite a ways to predating my musicologist, my advent to musicology, if you will. And I've taken it with me into my work. So for my PhD work, my dissertation, I wrote about Karl Orff in a composer writing the Third Reich under totalitarianism, and I studied various things about subjugation and oppression and injustice, and the ways people responded to it, and sort of dealt with the guilt of having been complicit in an unjust system. Unfortunately, since I graduated in 2015, I realized that this research was actually a little bit more preparation for life in America than I might have wanted it to be, which has been a rather sobering realization to look at the news and think, oh yeah, I read about that in Hannah Arendt. And I talked also about a lot of sort of works by Orff where he dealt with issues of injustice. And then more recently, I have been as you mentioned, I'm now the managing editor for the Gershwin Initiative, which has the George and Ira Gershwin Critical Edition. And I've been working there as an editorial assistant for a number of years, and we were focusing on, and one of the things we are trying to do with the edition is not just, make sure the American in Paris taxi horns are the right pitch, although shout out to Mark Legg for figuring that out. But we also are trying to deal with the social issues of works like Porgy and Bess, which is obviously, created by George and Ira Gershwin and Dubose and Dorothy Hayward, all white people, two of them Jewish white people, dealing with Black life in America. And a friend of mine and I are actually working on, my friend Kai West, shout out to him, are working on a series of posts for our blog about social justice issues with that opera and how performances of the opera can better serve the purpose of highlighting issues of social justice. So I won't go into that too much, since you'll be able to read it in the coming months. And in general, in musicology, we have been talking quite a bit, sort of among my generation, sort of your Gen X, millennial, whatever we are called, generation, about how the field of musicology obviously was it was essentially a German dude named Johann Forkel who sort of first came up with your Musikwissenschaft, and it's very much focused on a particular repertoire of music by white men, obviously white European men for the most part. and how sort of the narrowness of musicology is something we really need to be working to remedy. And we've been talking a lot about how to reshape our curricula so that they are more inclusive, and we're not just talking about the whenever I write the word canon, I sardonically put a little trademark, the Western canon, capital W, capital C trademark, since that's how it's been taught over the years. And there's been some, some professors in musicology, music theory, have been absolutely great in the older generation about talking about these issues. Others get incredibly defensive. There's this whole mess going on right now with the Journal of Schenker Studies, where someone has been, where there's been discussions of Schenker's racism, and some people have gotten very defensive about this. Someone even published a response piece in this really reactionary publication called the National Association of Scholars, which I'd never heard of, which is an anti-1619 project, anti-trans, anti-immigration, just online rag. And so we're in a bit of a state of turmoil.
Wow.
Shall we say. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, insofar as I can manage to fit it into a nutshell.
Yeah, wow. I think it's time for me to actually flip my chicken. So I'm gonna.
All right, probably for me too.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look here. Oh yeah, definitely.
Probably just one. No, I'll do 1.5.
All right.
So yeah, whenever that's cut up, you're just gonna put that in your baking dish.
All right.
That
last one. This will probably.
With a little bit of olive oil, some salt and pepper, and the garlic powder.
Okay, I'm sorry. Say that again.
So yeah, you're just gonna stick it in a baking dish
Mm-hmm.
with a little bit of olive oil, with a little bit of salt and pepper, and some garlic powder.
All right.
Super easy. And then whenever you're done with that, you can stick that in the oven.
Okie doke. All right. It's in the oven.
Okay, cool. So your chicken's probably done.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to want to do is turn the heat off.
All right. Yep.
Does the chicken look done?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. So yeah, turn the heat off. I'm going to take it off the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'm actually going to do is, so I'm going to take my can of crushed tomatoes.
Yes. Reminds me, where's my can opener?
Which I'm using a 15-ounce can. It looked like you had a much bigger one.
Oh yeah.
So you probably don't need all of that, but it doesn't have to be like perfectly measured or anything like that. Basically what you want is you just want the whole pan to be covered, and you want the chicken to be submerged in the sauce. Can you talk a little bit about how the work with the Gershwin Initiative has affected you in these topics, and maybe talk a little bit about how what has been happening there?
Oh, sure. Well, because, fortunate, I'm happy to say that the crew we've got at the Gershwin Initiative is a really great group of people and a very sort of conscientious social people with sort of an orientation toward social justice. So I'm very lucky to have great colleagues, and we have been, we've been very aware of sort of the problematic aspects that come with Gershwin, and we've been trying to be proactive about them, rather than just sort of hoping that, well, we'll just do a concert and people will think the music is pretty and we'll hope no one notices. It's important to sort of get right out in front of these things. We did a symposium for our Porgy and Bess test performance, for example, and our social media team, our blog team, has been working to highlight voices of Black artists. I mentioned the series I'm doing with my friend Kai as well. So yeah, just just trying to be as aware as possible is really important, and just as proactive as possible, which I know sounds kind of simple, but that is one thing that in this very complicated set of issues, it is pretty simple.
Yeah,
Just don't ignore it.
yeah, absolutely. Do you think that people who are involved with schools of music, students, faculty who are not in the field of musicology, or involved with things like the Gershwin Initiative, that they can help institute change in some of these topics?
Oh, absolutely. And I've been very, very happy and very inspired to see a lot of the work that's been done at the School of Music, Theater, and Dance for University of Michigan, which is where the Gershwin Initiative is located. And I know there are people who are working on, students that is, sort of working on suggestions to faculty, including the musicology faculty, for things that could, that they consider important to change, things to, sort of ways to sort of tweak the curriculum and how things are discussed, or sort of what is covered, making sure that is more inclusive. Students are really in a great position actually to have these conversations with their faculty, and to say things like, when we talk about the more painful things in American music history, because American music history is based on, or a big portion of it is back to blackface minstrelsy. And so you can't avoid that. And I've heard people say things like they would like professors really, because sometimes, when you're a professor, you don't want to be sort of imposing a personal viewpoint too much. You want to be very objective, but people have said, when you're talking about something like blackface, we'd appreciate actually if you would say, by the way, I acknowledge this is really awful and really racist, and approach it from more of a social justice standpoint, and also saying, we would like it if the composers of color we study don't start and end with William Grant Still, who is a very great composer, of course, but not the only one. And I've also been working, sort of, this is back to the Gershwin work, with some students in the voice department, where we've talked about elements, when we've done work on Porgy and Bess, that really, things in the performance that we really felt just didn't sort of address the social justice issues in the way that they should have been. So we have been working on planning a concert that was supposed to have happened, but unfortunately, of course, delayed for COVID, with the title "Talk of Justice and Take Your Stand," which is a line from William Grant Still's cantata "And They Lynched Him on a Tree," which we are going to be pairing with some scenes from Porgy and Bess, and really talking about the social justice issues in this work, and using music as a way of really highlighting the sort of the things in America that need to be changed. In fact, there's James Baldwin wrote a great review of the film of Porgy and Bess from 1959, where he said what he'd always felt missing when he'd seen it is, what does the lives of these people living in Catfish Row, what does it say about the white world that created it? People are often focused on the fact, oh, well, they're dry. It's bad to show violence and drugs. And Baldwin wasn't concerned about that. He was concerned with why are people watching this and not having their consciences be troubled by it? So yeah, that's what we're going for, the Baldwin troubling of the consciences.
Yeah, I think I really appreciate that you bring in James Baldwin, who I think not enough people know about, by the way. I'm actually reading Giovanni's Room right now, so
I have that, and I've been meaning to read it for some time.
Yeah, I'm reading it with a friend. We're doing a little book club, but it's a really wonderful book. Anyways, I think that's great. My chicken is almost done, so I'm gonna go check that out. I just took my broccoli out while you were talking. You should probably check on yours.
Yep, it's looking like it's probably close enough.
Yeah, my chicken probably needs another minute or two, and I'm actually gonna switch mine from the oven to the broiler.
Okay.
But you don't need to do that because I've already taken my broccoli out. This is for the chicken.
Okay.
This is just to like get that leopardy cheesy effect.
Nice.
So this looks really great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my chicken, put it on the plate.
Nice.
Like that. And then I'm actually going to, any of the sauce, if I want extra sauce, which I probably will, I'm gonna take just a spoon, and I'm going to just spoon some extra sauce from that liquid onto the plate. And I actually used the sauce because I put it on the broccoli. And I found, because I really like this meal because, one, it's super light. I don't mind eating it for lunch because it's like, I wouldn't normally want to eat a big meal like this for lunch, personally. But it's not that big of a meal, as we've discussed. And so then I'm just going to put some broccoli on the plate, just the amount, however much that I want. Really, I'm just going to take half because the other half is for my partner.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's getting the main benefit from the show of he gets to eat everything.
Oh, nice.
And then I decided not to make bread, so I'm not going to have it on the plate. So I'm going to go. I actually chopped up a little bit of fresh basil.
Excellent.
I think that looks delicious though. Anyways, okay. So I took my chicken out, took my broccoli out. It looks really delicious. Before I dig in, Andrew, where's the best place for people to find out more about the Gershwin Initiative and the work you're doing there?
You can find out more about the Gershwin Initiative by going to our website. Spencer will give you the link for that. And that is where our blog is that has our series of social justice posts, including the big series my friend Kai and I will be doing on Porgy and Bess. And we also will give you the link to that fantastic James Baldwin essay because we all need more Baldwin in our lives.
I agree. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you make chicken parm, please post it below or tag me on social media. I definitely want to see this. I really do want to see you all cooking. And thank you, Andrew, for being on the show.
Well, thank you so much.
I'm going to dig in here because this is just difficult to eat. See, it's so good. It's you get that juicy chicken. Yeah, you know, it's not breaded, it's not fried, but you know, I'm gonna walk away having eaten 550 calories of deliciousness. So thank you for this episode.
Oh, thank you.
Well, have a good rest of your day.
You too.